Right, buddy, welcome back to the latest Manchester United news. Now, in this video, we'll be talking about an update on Sancho, Brian MBUEMO deal set. We'll also be talking about MUANI, Mason Mount at Aston Villa, and much more. But I'm going to start off by talking about the Brian MBUEMO stuff. Now, a price has been agreed. Not a deal, but a price has been set for the Brentford star. Now, Manchester United is set to pay around £63 million plus add-ons for Brian MBUEMO. The personal terms have been agreed. Deal now hinges on final details with Brentford. So it's looking at the price has been agreed. Obviously, we knew Brentford wanted a similar fee to what we paid for Cunha. And listen, we've paid we're going to pay 63 million plus add-ons, which seems about fair. He's a player who wants to join United, given priority. It's all about the final details, and that came in late last night. Let's see if anything develops. That is the latest though. Personal terms agreed. Deal on now the final stages, so we're expecting hopefully a here we go very shortly, on the next couple of days or so. That's what's been further reported as well on the Brian MBUEMO situation. So that's just a quick update on him there. Now, the main thing I want to talk about is Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa are in a shock move for Manchester United midfielder Mason Mount if he is to leave Manchester United. Now, he is coming in from Footy Insider. Now, obviously, there's been a lot of talks about Mason Mount's potential exit at Manchester United. For me, this in the 2 seasons he's had at United been nowhere near good enough. I mean, we spent £60 million on him. We spent £60 million on Mason Mount, and he's nowhere near lived up to that expectation. Now, I do feel for the player, he did have a lot of injuries when he did join Manchester United, and that has been a problem. I do definitely think there's a player there in Mason Mount, and I would give him an extra season. However, if you are looking at Aston Villa, they have a very poor PSR, or they're in a very poor PSR position. United could potentially offer Mason Mount, and you may be getting Amadou Onana or Kamara or a Tielemans, or if you want to get Martinez. But I'd certainly, if you're gonna sell Mason Mount, certainly look at doing it that. I mean, you have to look going into next season, where does Mason Mount fit into the team? I mean, you look at from the midfield perspective, you're going to have Mainu, I think, will still be here. I think Casemiro will still be there. You're going to have Ugarte, you're going to have Bruno in those pivots. In the centre, you're going to have Cunha and Bremo, hopefully, Ahmad, Xerxes. I think if Mason Mount is fighting for first team football, I don't think it's guaranteed. However, again, to look at it, he did get a lot of minutes towards the end of the season under Ruben Amorim when he's fit. And Ruben Amorim does like the player a lot. So listen, Mason Mount is an interesting one. I think some people want to see him go. I think for £60 million, it definitely hasn't been a good signing. But again, I'm willing to give him another season and then wait out to see what happens. So that's that on Mason Mount. I mean, Aston Villa, as I said, you can definitely take advantage of where they are at financially. The next thing, MUANI. Manchester United have showed interest in MUANI. He's happy at Juventus, but open to other options. Chelsea open concrete talks with PSG, and Juventus hopeful of getting paid loan plus buy option. So listen, we've obviously been linked to MUANI before when he was at PSG. He's obviously now at Juventus. Again, for me, not the striker that I would go for. I think Manchester United need to be going for someone that's proven. I think, yes, MUANI can score goals, and he is a very versatile player, can play anywhere across the front three. But I just don't think for what Manchester United are going for, MUANI will be the sort of player that we're going after. There's no doubt there's a talented player there. But yeah, let's see what develops on that. Again, for me, the striker targets should be Osimhen, Gyökeres. They're the main two, and they're the main ones I get. Their experience, their quality, and we know what we're going to get from them. But listen, we'll have to wait and see what happens. The next thing I want to talk about is Napoli and Sancho. Now, Napoli does not want to cover Sancho's salary, whether on loan or a permanent transfer. The fee would not be a problem, but the salary is too high, and that has been reported again recently. On Napoli, sporting director has said our offer is clear. We will not pay Sancho's requested salary. So, listen, if Sancho wants to leave Manchester United, which he probably wants to after, he's not going to get playing time. I feel like he wants to leave as well. He's going to have to kind of lower his salary conditions. Obviously, he's on ridiculous money at United, being 350k a week. He's going to have to lower the conditions for him in order for him to leave Manchester United, and that's something that makes a lot of sense. Not many clubs in world football are gonna, if you look at Sancho, what his career in the last couple of seasons, are gonna pay 350 grand a week. I think that doesn't make any sense. Napoli are a club who again just won the Serie A, having a very, very good season. They have got money to spend, but they're not gonna go and break their wage structure on someone like Jadon Sancho. So listen, that's the latest on that. The last thing I want to talk about is a new goalkeeper. Now, Manchester United expected to move for a new number 2 goalkeeper if Altay Bayindia secures a move away from the club. Overseas clubs interested for a potential deal for Altay Bayindia. Now, listen, we know when he came in to Manchester United, he wanted minutes, but listen, as a second choice, he's never going to get that. And I think as a player, I just don't think he's good enough to be a number 2. I think you look at what we had before Romero and De Gea, and now we've gone to Bayindia, who's a pretty shaky keeper. Again, listen, we know, and again, McTominay's influence is obviously is taking his thing on Sancho, potentially going there. But on a goalkeeper, again, we know Keaton's staying, so that's the choice covered. Onana wants to stay and fight for his place at Manchester United. There has obviously been links to Monaco, but he won't be going there at this current moment. So let's see what happens. But I'm going to leave it there right now. That has been the latest news. Thanks for watching.